Hi everybody. So I want to talk about news today that Boris Johnson is going to prorogue Parliament and why I believe this could potentially be a strategic error on his part and Dominic Cummings' part. So there would be a Queen's speech on the 14th of October, 2 weeks before the Brexit deadline. So why could this be a mistake? Well, it shows their hand. There is now no doubt about their willingness to suspend Parliament. This is, of course, a constitutional outrage because the MPs were elected a year after the referendum, i.e. with a newer mandate. And remember, 55% of the voters in that election voted explicitly for parties that ruled out a no-deal Brexit. So there's an attempt to bypass those MPs and their democratic mandate to force through a Brexit that has absolutely no majority in the country, be it a no deal or a rehash of Theresa May's withdrawal agreement. Now, Johnson et al. Have shown their hand, and this could now galvanise the opposition, along with anti-no deal Tory rebels. Even though Parliament will be prorogued, there will still be time for Parliament to either legislate to force a further extension, or for a vote of no confidence to be passed and for a new administration to be set up, which would then seek an extension of Article 50 past October the 31st and then call a general election. You also have to remember, not all people who voted for Brexit are rabid no-dealers. On the contrary, polls show that a great many of them did so on the basis that we would get a deal. And polls also show a large majority in the country are against crashing out of the European Union without a deal. So by suspending Parliament, Boris Johnson now rightly faces accusations that this is tantamount to a coup in all but name. Most people in the United Kingdom, however they voted, are rational and they're moderate. Boris Johnson's actions could well outrage floating and moderate Brexit voters in the same way it outrages Remainers. In other words, any remnants of a mandate Johnson, etc., still hold on to could further diminish. Now, in the coming general election, whether that's after or before October the 31st, all the moderate opposition parties will legitimately say the Tory party, and by extension the Brexit Party Limited Company, are utterly undemocratic and have attempted to force an outcome on the British people that only a small cabal of people want, by trying to prevent the people's elected representatives from exercising their democratic right to have a say on behalf of those who elected them. So in short, this is an utter outrage, regardless of whether you support Brexit or not. To suspend our democracy in an attempt to get something through that has absolutely no majority support or mandate, be it no deal Brexit, be it a rehash of Theresa May's withdrawal agreement, is an attempted coup. There's no other way to describe it. Boris Johnson will, of course, be all over the TV promising new money for this and for that. In fact, the magic money tree is going to be so abundant with fruit, it'll be like the UK's already reached the land of milk and honey. It will be an attempt to distract the media away from the constitutional outrage that's being perpetrated. But the magnitude of this outrage will be such that a great deal of the media bandwidth will be used up talking about it. So in a sense, they will have handed the narrative over to the opposition parties, who will rightly trash the government for what it's attempting to do. The next few days and weeks are going to be momentous, and it really does now feel like this is a battle for our democracy. If this is allowed to happen, then not only is it outrageous, it also sets a very dangerous precedent for future governments. Now, I'm no fan of Jeremy Corbyn, but can you imagine the backlash if he attempted to do such a thing? The right-wing media and politicians would go into absolute meltdown. Well, this would set the precedent for any future Prime Minister, Corbyn or far, far worse, to simply look on Parliament as being a rubber stamping body. Now, Brexit voters, I can see some of you are commenting on this. Ask yourselves this: is this really what you want? Is this really the way you want our country to be governed in the future, where control is concentrated in the hands of the executive and the unelected bureaucrats that run it. Is this the legacy of Brexit that you envisaged and you believe is right for the country? It cannot and must not be allowed to happen. If it does, the backlash must be so furious and united that the government is brought down. Now, if you agree with me, write to your MP, sign petitions, do anything you legally can to get your voice heard. It will not on its own change anything, but it is vital that the groundswell of outrage is shown and that people know we will not allow our democracy to be subverted. And to all opposition parties, it's now vital you all work together and carry out your constitutional role to protect us. So, over to you. Cheers.